What's up, Trek Nation, and welcome back to After the Snap. I am your host, Tasha Pierce, and today we are going to continue, finally, our worst in Trek series. So we started off with The Sanctuary, which was a Star Trek Discovery, the lowest rated Star Trek Discovery episode in the catalog. Then we went on to Deep Space Nine, He Who Was Without Sin, and that was a funky little cult type episode. And guess what? This week we got more cults. We got another stinking cult in season 3, episode 20 of the original series, The Way to Eden. So that is our episode that we are critiquing today. The original air date was February 21st of 1969. It's sitting at a 5.5 on IMDb. So if you want to know if that 5.5 is necessary, was that a real good score for The Way to Eden, which is directed by David Alexander and written by Arthur Heineman and Michael Richards. And there's going to be more on Michael Richards a little later. But if you want to know if that 5.5 was warranted for this episode of Star Trek, the original series, just keep watching. All right, The Way to Eden. It opens with the Enterprise in pursuit of a stolen Federation vessel called the Aurora. The vessel's occupants are headed to the neutral zone. So if they enter the neutral zone, this could be seen as an act of aggression by the Romulans, and it could create an interstellar war. However, Enterprise is there to stop this from happening, and what they do is lock a transporter beam onto the vessel at high speed, and that overburdens the Aurora's systems. Now, Kirk orders the occupants to be transported out before the Aurora explodes. And in the transporter room, we get our first glimpse of the thieves. And when you know it, it's another damn cult. It's another cult. So it's a cult led by Dr. Severin and his group of space hippies. That's right. I said space hippies. And these space hippies have to be treated kindly because one of said hippies happens to be the son of an ambassador. I don't know why that matters. They done stole a vessel. So we're going to treat them differently than we would treat anybody else who stole a Starfleet vessel? I got problems with that right off the bat. But let's just continue with the story. The Severin's group stages a sit-in in the transporter room because they demand to be taken not to a Federation starbase like Kirk is ordered to do, but to Eden. Now, Eden is a mythical type planet said to be made up, imaginary, but this is where they want to go. Kirk explains that he has his orders, but the hippies start chanting over him while he speaks, and they're like saying, Herbert, Herbert, Herbert. I'm like, who the hell is Herbert? Who is Herbert? But for some damn reason, Spock knows exactly what the hell they're talking about. He is somehow hip to this fringe movement, and including its lingo, and he begins to interact with them. So, of all the characters available, my question is, why would Spock be able to reach these characters, this group? Wouldn't a younger crew member, such as Chekhov maybe, be better suited for this particular endeavor? Well, Spock flashes their little gang signs and they immediately calm down. Like he's throwing up Rockefeller diamonds on them. He knows their signs and they like, oh shoot, Vulcan here might know a little something something. So they basically he has their attention at this point. Now, one of the cult members calls Spock Herbert. You know, Spock knows. So he's like, I am not Herbert, because he knows that that's an insult. It's like the opposite of woke in today's slang. It means a person who rigidly adheres to a limited thought pattern. And Because Spock is ruled by logic, logic is not known for being really fluid. So you would think that he would be the person who rigidly adheres to a thought pattern. But I digress. Anytime someone comes across as two Starfleet or whatever, the group starts chanting Herbert like children. Because I guess that's the type of shit that the writers assumed that hippies in a hippie cult do. Anywho, Dr. Severin, the leader, is placed in protective custody, but the other cult members are allowed to roam Enterprise freely because one of them has an ambassador for a dad. That might be a mistake. It's like we can't see how many different things could go wrong here by having these hippies just running all willy-nilly through your ship. Yes, that is like asking for trouble, but nope. Kirk didn't see it that way. Spock, I'm supposing he didn't see it that way. Nobody saw it that way. Let the hippies go free, you know? Speaking of Severin, while we're on Severin, before becoming a cult leader, he was a pretty renowned scientist. From the planet Tiburon, he specialized in acoustics, electronics, and communications until he started One. And that's the name of the cult with the Rockefeller Diamond. Philosophical movement, cult, all the same thing, right? Anyway, their goal, Eden or bust. Now, Severin is quarantined. Sounds familiar? Well, he is quarantined because he is a carrier of a disease, not COVID, and he needs to stay in technologically regulated areas so that he's not like passing his germs off to people who have not been inoculated against them. Now, technology gave him the disease, and he feels that primitives hold the cure. So he's looking to go to Eden to meet up with the indigenous people of that planet, and hopefully they are able to cure this disease that he has. Crew continuously refers to him and his movement as insane. Now, this may have simply been the bias of the writers against the hippie counterculture that was manifesting in the character of Severin. Now, between all of the explaining of the group and their leader, we got a few musical numbers. Because what's Star Trek without a musical number? I'm just kidding. I have never seen a fucking musical number in Trek until, like, now. Because there's nothing hippies love more than a good concert, they sung. They did, like, at least 3 numbers. And when I say these numbers were terrible, they were absolutely terrible.
Looking for the good land, going astray. Don't cry, don't cry. Oh, I can't have honey, and I can't have cream.
Oh, and for some reason, Chekhov took on Spock's rigid Herbert-like demeanor for this entire episode. So even when Chekhov is the central character, we still are getting Spock. So that was weird. I thought he should have been the character that got the hippies, but the writers went with Spock to give him screen time because Spock, of course, was very popular, especially amongst the ladies. I had a thing for Spock. I actually still do. Like if Spock were a living being, he would probably be my husband. But I digress. So where we at? Chekhov even had a little thing with a former Starfleet Academy member who dropped out to join Severin's movement, and her name was Arena. Arena? I think it's her name. Arena. I can't read my own writing. So anyway, Spock joins the hippies for an impromptu jam session that they use as a diversion to take over the ship and free Severin so he can spread his cooties all over the ship, because nothing says a Starfleet adventure without some cooties. And that, I'm telling the truth, because there's a lot of times that cooties get passed on a starship. But anyway, Severin is passing on his cooties, and then eventually they're going to go to Eden, since Spock found the planet for them. So now we know that this planet is no longer just a myth. Spock has found the real location of planet Eden. And Severin does some hocus pocus that uses the ship's systems to emit a sound that will potentially kill the crew of the Enterprise. Now, this was quickly accepted by the members of his cult, even though they initially felt some type of way about murdering the crew of the Enterprise. They didn't want to do this. They were peaceful hippies. But then the leader went off the freaking rails, and it didn't take much for them to go off the rails with them. But wait, there's more. They steal a shuttle and head down to the surface of Eden. So now when they get down there, they're pursued by Spock, McCoy, Kirk, and Chekhov, because somehow they turned off the sound. They did it. So now they're going down to Eden in pursuit of Severin and his group of followers. And when they get down there, Chekhov takes his dumb ass straight to the trees and immediately touches a plant with his bare hand. Now, you would think that they would be taught not to just go to the doggone surface of any planet and just immediately start touching things. No tricorders. No, let's see what the hell this is first. No, he went straight down there and touched the plant, and that burnt the shit out of him. It really did. It burned him. We found out that this planet's vegetation is highly acidic and poisonous to humans. Now, Adam was the first to die, and Adam was one of the hippies, the Singy. He was the one with the bars.
Head now to Eden, yea, brother. Head now to Eden. No more trouble in my body or my mind.
Yeah, he had bars. But I'm going to try to put a little piece of what his little song in here. Hopefully I don't get copyrighted, because I love Paramount Plus, but they don't love me. Talk about the diamond. Adam was the first to die by biting into the poisonous fruit in Eden. Can we say message? Message. Now the crew are able to save the remainder of the hippies except for Severin, who, even after being warned of the danger, chose to run up to a tree, just climb it, and then immediately just bite into the toxic fruit. And he died. Now, everyone attached to this episode, everyone knew it stunk. This episode was just as bad as this rating says it is. It stunk. And everyone associated with this episode, the guest stars, our regulars, everybody, the writers, everybody knew that this episode stunk. As a matter of fact, Michael Richards, who I told you we'd come back around to, was actually DC Fontana. She didn't even want her name attached to this shit, because that's how bad this episode was. She decided to go with the pseudonym and just say, I don't even want the credit for this. She didn't just, nope. I don't, nope. Don't put my name on this garbage. And I don't blame her, because it was garbage. Now, this episode was Trek's commentary on the Summer of Love, 1967. Young people converged on San Francisco, and the hippie movement was in full swing. Now, this episode also preceded the Tate LaBianca murders that were perpetrated by the Manson family, a murderous cult led by Charles Manson in August of 1969. So once again, a totally ridiculous episode of Trek took on a new meaning after real-life events made it relevant again. This also could be a warning of another cult led by atheist preacher Jim Jones. He promised his followers a utopia in the jungles of Guyana, but eventually incited the mass murder/suicide of more than 900 people in November of 1978. So even at its worst, Trek delivers a timeless message. Now, The Way to Eden got a 5.5 by the greater fandom, and I am inclined to agree. This was really, really a bad episode. Now, I would like to know what you guys thought of The Way to Eden. Was this one of your favorite episodes? And if it was, please tell me how. No, please tell me why. Because that's what makes the world go round. The stuff that a lot of people hate, there's somebody out there who loves. So if this was one of your favorite episodes, please let me know in the comments below. While you're down there, why don't you hit the subscribe button? It's down here. It's asking. Just hit the button. Hit the subscribe button for more of the Star Trek content and also more of my weird science stuff, because that seems to be what's really working out on this channel. But I'm still going to do my Trek because I love Trek. I love Trek. And if you're watching this, I know that you do too. If you'd like to help me continue making this content, you can go right over to patreon.com/afterthesnap and just become a patron. $1, $2, $5, $10. If you want to give me some money to assist with the production of these videos, I'm going to take it. That's the end all be all. I'm going to take your money. So please, if you have it in you to donate to the cause, please do. But the way that you assist the channel the most is by liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing. Those things, they go a long way towards helping the channel, and it doesn't cost you a thing. How about that? All that being said, our next episode of The Worst in Trek, we're going back to the future. I'm not going to tell you just what yet, but please know that it is almost equally as bad. It's probably worse than this episode. Now, you just rack your little brains about how something can be worse than this episode. I'm not even going to tell you like where it is. I'm just going to tell you worse than this here episode. So if you like to know, exactly what that episode is, stay tuned for more. And I think I'm probably going to try to drop these on Sundays moving forward. This will be my Stream Something Sunday. So moving forward, I'm going to try to drop these on Sundays, and I'll drop that Odd Science during the week sometime so we can get on some kind of regularity here. I appreciate you. I miss hanging out with you guys. Thanks for coming back and sitting and chatting some Star Trek with me, even though it's bad Trek. If you want to hear about good Trek, like the best in the original series, listen to my boys discussing at work. They do Discussing Trek, and they are talking about the best episodes of TOS. So if you have a hankering, you need a palate cleanser after this garbage, go over there and listen to them talk about what's good in Trek. What's good. Well, with all that being said, I've got nothing else. I enjoyed talking to you, and I still want y'all to live long and prosper. Peace.